Hello and welcome to A Better Morning. I'm Heather Klein. We debate the trending topics in sports from a sports betting point of view. Let's welcome today's panel. Award-winning host, the fantasy exec, Corey Parson.
Yay!
Boo.
Host of Her Story in the Making, Britt's Fantasy Blitz, and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. Fantasy Alarm lead NFL analyst and host of Fantasy Fiasco, Andrew Cooper.
Number one. USA.
Oh man, there's a lot of self-aggrandizing going on this morning. We're feeling frisky on a Friday.
Friday, baby.
You
Let's go.
started it, Britt.
She kind of did, low key.
I just hope the audience is aware that we actually, like what we do on the show, we were arguing for the last 10 minutes before the show even started about just about nonsense. So
just a pre-show argument.
What you see is what you get on this one.
To get your blood flowing, right, guys? Get it going in the morning.
The last round.
All right. Let's go.
Got a topic?
Ready when you are.
There we go. After long and excruciating years in Washington, D.C., the Commanders have a new leader in Josh Harris and company, and Dan Snyder is out. DC fans rejoice, and although it may be brief, it feels like all is right with the world. Now we all know you can't fire a team owner, but if you could, who would you give your walking papers to? Corey, you're first.
Oh, I get to go first on this one because this is the easy one right here. Because for over 30 years now, you might as well say that the New York Knicks have been the most embarrassing franchise in pro sports. And I think you got a lot of stuff to point to. And James Dolan, owner of the New York Knicks, Madison Square Garden, has been an absolute disaster. The Isaiah Thomas hiring, keeping them too long, botching the Carmelo Anthony trade, the way you treat former players, having Charles Oakley arrested and dragged out the joint, the fact that the team misses in the draft year after year after year, you can't get out your own way. You know, just years of New York is a basketball city. And nobody talks about New York basketball anymore. You've basically ruined basketball in the city. There's no chance that you're going to be selling the New York Knicks anytime soon. Everybody wants you to do so. James Dolan, the most hated man in New York City, must go.
Yeah, I mean, I look around the landscape at guys like Mark Cuban and Terry Pagula, who fought to keep Buffalo in Buffalo, Robert Kraft, who fought to keep the Patriots from going to St. Louis and Connecticut. And they're people that love the team, right? And then I look at the Red Sox ownership group. And it's this mishmash of businessmen that, own the Marlins, other teams, and they're more interested in doing other things, buying the Penguins, who are rivals of Boston, buying Liverpool, right? Getting in bed with LeBron James. Like, this ownership group could care less about what actually goes on the day to day. And they seem more interested in whatever's next, moving a basketball team to Vegas or whatever they have planned. Honestly, I would love for them just to sell the Red Sox to a single owner that actually cares, because that's the best thing in sports. When you have an ownership that isn't just some conglomerate trying to make an extra buck off coffee table books.
Oh, disgruntled Red Sox fan wants Red Sox ownership out. I could say the same thing about Jerry Jones, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to go Jimmy Haslam of the Cleveland Browns. His coaching hires, his personnel decisions, his draft decisions, all of it has been disastrous. The Browns have gone 59, 118, and 1 since he purchased the team in 2012. And it looks like they could turn things around this year, but I wouldn't be surprised for another atrocious season because that's just kind of how it goes with him. Dean Spanos of the Chargers is a close second for me. The decision to move the Chargers from San Diego to LA rocked the fan base. You're in a destination stadium in LA where visiting fans routinely outnumber the home team. The Chargers have also only got 5 playoff wins since 2000. That's hashtag not good. It's nepotism, and he really has no clue what's going on with this team.
Yeah, Chargers owners suck. But I'm telling you, you don't know how good you have it with Jerry Jones, man. Like, at least he's a character.
Jerry Jones is great.
He's a character. He cares. I mean, he fired Tom Landry, which not cool, right? Legendary.
So what?
But like,
it's time for Tom to go.
The thing is, man, it's just like he at least cares. You know what I mean? The worst thing is indifference, and that's what you get from the Red Sox. And there's no better example. Pull up the clip of John Henry trying to start. It was either John Henry or Tom Warner. I don't know. There's like a group of like 15 different guys. The New York Times owns part of the team. But pull up the clip of him trying to start a "Let's Go Red Sox" chant. It is like a robot came to Earth, or like AI is trying to learn it. He's like, "Let's go Red Sox." Like it is excruciating. Excruciating.
Is he a lizard man?
I think he might be. I don't know if he's ever been to a game. Like,
but you see, Coop, what you say, that's what Washington had, the single owner who was a fan. And he did a lot of terrible things, but the problem was they was never able to get a franchise quarterback. That was his main problem. RG3 was supposed to be that guy. They ran him into the ground. You know what I'm saying? They canceled him early. Jason Campbell got beat up all over the place. It's another stadium where the opposing fans come in and take the joint over. He did care. He had a lot of things that go on, but most important thing was he was never able to get a quarterback in there.
Yeah, he cared enough for the stadium to collapse and fans to fall and poop water to come down from the ceilings. That's how much he cared about the team.
The most dangerous field in FedEx Field is the most dangerous field in sports.
They was packed in there. You know, y'all ain't never seen the Nassau Coliseum. You think FedEx Field is
these things aren't mutually exclusive. Two things can be true at once.
You know, and then this guy that Washington is getting, Josh Harris, I would advise Washington fans to be careful with this guy's an asset management guy. You saw what they did in Philadelphia, how the process, they advocated losing, you know what I'm saying? And they advocated players not playing. Simmons and Embiid. You can't.
Why do you think they're starting Sam Howell?
I think it's a covert tank job, just like the NFLPA president saying, well, players should fake injuries. I'm not saying that they should, but if they wanted to, they could. It's that same situation.
Yeah.
I think Washington is going to compete with the Giants for a playoff
spot.
Wow, oh, that's spicy.
Clip it.
Fantasy executive has spoken.
Wow. On that note, let's move on to the next topic. If you play fantasy football, then you know you have to draft running backs. They are vital to your team's success. How much does the QB influence their running back success, and which team offenses utilize their running backs the most for your fantasy team? Oop, you're up first.
Yeah, running back, the quarterback is incredibly influential on this. I mean, and it's not even just the eye test, even though the eye test backs it up, but the numbers back it up. Scott Barrett did the work on how much a target is worth. It's worth in full PPR 2.7 times as much as a carry, but in even in standard, it's worth more. We've seen from Andrew Erickson that mathematically mobile QBs target the running backs less, right? Look at Jalen Hurts. I mean, look at the bottom three teams in passes to the running backs. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Chicago Bears, the Baltimore Ravens. What do those three teams have in common, right? Mobile quarterbacks. Go look at a guy like Jared Goff or Justin Herbert, the amount of targets those running backs get combined. That's what you want. And for me personally, if I can avoid the mobile quarterbacks, I'm doing so in fantasy football.
Yeah, obviously, if you have a running quarterback, the running back on the team isn't going to be as effective because of the lack of checkdowns and vulture carries. I mean, we saw it with Jalen Hurts last season, and even if they aren't mobile enough, those 1 yard line little sneaks are so annoying. But you have to have a competent enough quarterback that opposing defenses respect the run. So with Matt Ryan, for example, last year with the Colts, Jonathan Taylor's yards per carry went down a full yard from the year before because people just didn't respect the pass. And so they just loaded the box and took everything away. I actually like running backs out of the Earhart-Perkins offensive schemes because they tend to utilize the run a little bit more like the Steelers. And we all know how much I love Najee Harris, or the Air Coryell system with a good combination of passing and power running like the Cowboys did under Jason Garrett when they had DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, I'm going back to Dallas this year, big time, just running game. First of all, you get Kellen Moore out of town and let Mike McCarthy handle it. Understand that Kellen Moore's job as an offensive coordinator is to get first downs. Mike McCarthy's job as a head coach is to win the football game. The best way for the Dallas Cowboys to win football game is to manage the game because the quarterback is a turnover machine. So you want to keep the ball out of his hand and keep him from making poor decisions. We know that Tony Pollard is the guy, but last season in that game against San Francisco when Pollard broke his leg, the Dallas Cowboys should have went to Malik Davis. They didn't because Malik Davis had a fallout with the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, the week leading up to the game. And what did Moore do? Cut off his nose and spite his face by playing a slow, washed-up Ezekiel Elliott. Malik Davis to the moon in fantasy this year.
Kellen Moore did put Zeke as the only blocker on the very last play of the game. I don't think that you can call Zeke slow and washed. Like, yes, he did regress a little bit, but you can't say that Malik Davis was better than Zeke.
Wait, you must have seen. You don't think Malik Davis was better than Zeke at the end of the season last year?
I think that.
Oh my goodness!
Separate skill set. I think that Malik probably should have played a little bit, but it's hard to be better than Zeke at getting the 1 yard when you need 1 yard, even now.
Yeah, and getting 1 yard and scoring a touchdown, but running and matriculating the ball down the field. Ezekiel Elliott's an old man. Your eyes is not deceiving you. Ezekiel Elliott get the football, run 2 yards, and fall down. That's all he is now. Malik Davis got
Corey Parson going full Hank Stram on us this morning. Matriculate the ball down the field, boys.
Let's go. Let's matriculate. Ezekiel Elliott's
so let me ask you this: the Cowboys have already had offensive line problems year after year after year with both the health and just rotating pieces in and out and penalties. So how does that running game translate if Zach Martin holds out, which he's threatening to do?
Well, we can't. Zach Martin need to get in and get signed, and hopefully Jerry, one of the best owners in sports, in my opinion, gets in there and gets that done. You got Zach Martin, who's a Hall of Famer. You got Tyron Smith, who's a Hall of Famer. Travis Frederick would have been a Hall of Famer if he was allowed to continue to play. They got the best offensive line coach in the NFL, and everybody they bring into that system and put in there, plug and play, they all work.
Yeah, but Tyron Smith is hurt. Tyler Smith is the most penalized person in the NFL as far as holds go.
Jason, look at Jason Witten. Jason Witten jumped offside every play.
Cowboys fans. But before we move on to the next topic, I want to get some info out there to the listeners who may play some fantasy football here. This decision is huge, Corey, with Kellen Moore being moved out, and it actually has a butterfly effect on the rest of the league here because Kellen Moore goes to the Chargers where Joe Lombardi was, and he loved to dump the ball down like crazy, right? So maybe Austin Eckler gets a few less touches. I mean, he's still Austin Eckler, but Joe Lombardi now goes to the Broncos. And if Javonte Williams isn't going to be ready, then somebody's going to get a million targets because Joe Lombardi's been doing that from the Chargers back to the Saints, back to the Lions. When he was the coach of the Lions 2014, 150 passes to the running back between Reggie Bush and Joique Bell and Theo Riddick. So I'm looking out for Samaje Perine. And
I don't leave a draft without saying
can't leave him.
Same. Oh my gosh, Corey, we're agreeing on something.
Heather, quick.
Yeah, that's you smart. You smartened up.
Heather, quick, take a screenshot.
I've actually been saying that before the show even started. So.
But the Cowboys run the ball well this year. You know what I'm saying? And don't
we agreed on Perine. No more Cowboys. Come on, let's next topic, Heather.
Yeah, such a homer Friday.
I'm rolling right now.
Deflategate, Michael Jordan's retirement to play baseball, and the rigging of the NBA draft so the Knicks could get Patrick Ewing. Conspiracies in sports are as old as time. And if you missed yesterday's show, we organically touched on the topic. So today we decided to dive a little deeper. Britt, what is your favorite sports conspiracy?
So I'm going to say the Super Bowl 47 blackout in the Superdome when the Ravens were beating the hell out of the 49ers 28-6. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen to begin with because I've never seen lights go out in a stadium during the game, let alone during a Super Bowl. And the fact that it took 30 minutes to restore the power and then the 49ers almost came back to beat the Ravens. Ray Lewis was actually the one who started this conspiracy in an interview saying that they're a $1 zillion company and the lights go out, and then went on to say something like, someone was sitting there thinking about this blowout and we have to do something about it. Then Terrell Suggs straight up accused Roger Goodell of having a hand in it. It's something that we've never heard an official cause of. And to this day, it's kind of sus to not have an explanation for why the power went out during a Super Bowl.
And that run that the Niners went on was pretty crazy. And that was, listen, when Heather asked the question, she mentioned 2 NBA conspiracies. The NBA is the league of conspiracies. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it is with the officiating. But the 2002 Western Conference Finals, I think everybody agrees, was not above board, particularly Game 6. This was a series of prime Kobe and Shaq, but the Sacramento Kings was rough, you know what I'm saying? And Sacramento Kings was winning the series. But in Game 6, Dick Bavetta and that officiating crew called 27 fouls on the Sacramento Kings in the fourth quarter. The Lakers ended up winning that. The Lakers ended up winning that game and going on to win the series. But everybody associated with that game does not believe that that game was above board.
Yeah, there's a combo of the two of yours, lights out and the Kings getting screwed. I remember Peja Stojakovic in the 3-point contest was crushing and the lights went out and he had to reset and kind of lost there. But the one for me, as a Celtics fan, and there's too many conspiracies out there today that are like harmful and are awful. So I like ones that have a little mischief, but at the end of the day, kind of harmless. 2017 playoffs, the Celtics are playing the Wizards, and Markieff Morris gets hurt during the game. And in game 1, game 2, he comes out and he's absolutely fine. People start pulling up pictures of him and his brother Marcus Morris, and they both at the time had shaved their beard to the same length, had very similar tattoos, and the accusations were that they pulled the old switcheroo, the old parent trap on us, and one brother played for one game while the other one rested up.
That's wild. I've never heard that.
My favorite. That's one of my favorites, dude. It was Celtics fans were like, "How is he?" You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, and the one of the other brother posted a picture like the game before of him wearing his brother's jersey because the Pistons were already out. And everybody pulled that picture up, and they were like, "See."
Oh my gosh!
But you know, the Celtics have a lot in their history, but it reminds me of that game when LeBron James cramped up versus the Spurs in the final. This conspiracy was that the Spurs had the heat on in the arena. You know what I'm saying? And that was an old Boston Celtics trick. The Celtics would turn the heat on. When they would play games against the Pistons, they would turn the heat on. They would practice in the heat and then just gas.
I don't even think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that's just Red Auerbach. Like I think that actually definitely happened. There's another one of those with the Giants where Bill Parcells, apparently the place is a wind tunnel as is, but he would open, there's like a big giant door where they let the trucks in to like work on the field. And so at the start of the game, they'd see which way the wind was going and the door would be shut. And then all of a sudden they'd come out halftime and the door would be open and it would just be.
Bill Parcells would definitely do something like that. The one that Jared put up there, there's also one about Cal Ripken. And while he was going through that street, the Orioles faked the blackout one night so that he wouldn't lose the star.
Oh, wow, I never heard that one.
And how is Kevin Costner associated with Cal Ripken? Like what in the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon is this?
Wow. So they did a blackout one night so Cal Ripken could go beat up Kevin Costner. Is that what the conspiracy is?
Maybe that's how it all came. There's another one about what's your man Mark McGuire said in his book that everything ended up being true. And there was somebody in the Hall of Fame already who was a steroid user.
I have a real deep conspiracy theory, and you're gonna hate it, Corey.
I think it's two people. This is allegedly, you know what I'm saying? I think it's Cal Ripken and Ricky Henderson.
It's Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris, dude. Two.
Don't old dudes.
Two dudes hanging out together. Living together, hitting dingers left and right. One of them mysteriously gets an infection from a needle shot in his ass. I mean, it writes itself, Corey. It writes itself. Yeah, but you can't say Mickey Mantle did steroids on Twitter. Imagine if I said that on Twitter, I'd get canceled immediately.
No.
But you said it live right now instead.
I did say it live. Yeah, Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris both did steroids. There you go.
What about the conspiracy theory that the NFL is scripted? And that people are told to intentionally throw games for ratings.
We'll see week 1 this year when the scores are like 7-6 because there's a writer strike going on.
Yeah, there you go, right there. You're 100% correct.
Babe Ruth isn't real. That's my favorite conspiracy theory.
Do that.
I've definitely globbed onto that. Anytime somebody says, I'm like, Babe Ruth wasn't real. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, ask Corey Parson. No, anyone who's actually seen him play? Myth.
Nobody.
Oh man. Silly.
Okay, now it's time for Dealer's Choice. Give us your bet of the day. It can be on any topic and any sport. Corey, what you have for us today?
Let's see. Yesterday, we got to do some NFL win totals yesterday. I know earlier this week we had Buffalo, we had Colorado. I've already told you how much I like Carolina this year. Did I go there? I'd give Joe Burrow a little bit of love. Let me go with Joe Burrow. I think that Joe Burrow is getting ready to have, his breakout season. And I think that this is going to be an MVP campaign for Joe Burrow coming up this year. Love him in fantasy. I think he's going to dominate him and Jamar Chase. So I think that loss last year in the AFC Championship, refocus. Joe Cool's probably second best quarterback in the NFL right now. So I think we are going into the season of Joe Burrow. So there you go right there. Joe Burrow plus 750 to win the NFL MVP award.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the NFL again. NFL bets are just more fun. And Britt, if you have a baseball bet, awesome. You've been crushing those. So I'll be tailing you on it. But baseball bets are boring. NFL bets are fun, baby. So I'm going back to the land of arbitration here, where we look at not just fantasy football, but even the odds themselves to see what's making sense and what's not. And I go over to the NFC South, where honestly, outside of the Bucs, pretty much anybody can win, right? Corey loves the Panthers. The Falcons had probably the best offseason you can have without upgrading your quarterback, and the Saints did upgrade their quarterback. But I look at it, Vegas has the Saints as the favorites, like plus 140 with a 6.5 over under or 7.5 over under. The Falcons actually have a higher over under win total, but they're plus 210. You can find them as high as plus 270 according to Britt. So I actually kind of like betting the Falcons just based on the fact that Vegas thinks they're going to win more games.
Yeah, I like that bet too. And I have been betting a lot on NFL, but I've been writing my articles over at Fantasy Alarm. So I don't want to rehash the same stuff that's already out there. I almost won the bet yesterday. Had it not been for that 3-run homer in the 8th, really crushed my soul. But I'm going to have another baseball bet today. I'm going to put some faith in the Yankees today and lay some skin on an Anthony Rizzo home run at plus 425. We know that the Yankees have been in free fall, but what a better way to get right than to face the Royals. Alec Marsh is allowing a 5.4 ERA. He's 0-3 in his starts this season, and he's allowed 5 home runs this month alone. Rizzo hasn't been the best this year, as can be said for anybody on the Yankees, but I'm not taking negative odds for a hit or total bases at negative 145. I want to go big. I think Rizzo ends up going yard against a very bad Royals crew today.
He's been on a bit of a slump, but he's capable. Rizzo, like betting on the home run bets are awesome. There are certain bets that are just fun. They are kind of sucker bets, but there's nothing better than when it happens, right? That moment where you flip the coffee table, right? Yeah. Your wife's like, what the hell happened?
I don't have much time to watch baseball, so I don't really do it. But if I did, you know what I'm saying, it would be home run bets. You know what I'm saying? So
you know what other one I like? Me and the boys used to like on a Saturday when we're like, you know what? Let's go meet up, hang out, have a couple beers, and just kind of hang out and watch all the games. We bet the Grand Salami. You guys ever bet that one? That's the
what
total runs on the day for all teams. And then every time any team scores a run, you're like, yeah, let's go.
You should have done that on Tuesday or whatever night it was with all the double-digit games. I mean, the Braves score 13 and still lose. That's insane.
Well, the days of me and the boys getting together on Tuesday to bet the Grand Salami are probably over. But maybe a Saturday or Sunday coming up, we could throw some money down on that one and watch some ding-dongs.
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, I think it's so much fun stuff in betting. And this is one thing that I can bring up here about betting. I think that it needs to be federally uniform because it's so annoying being in a state that doesn't allow DraftKings or FanDuel or any of the big sports books. Like Arkansas, they have their own. And you can't get any of the player props, any of the home run props. It's like win totals and money lines and things like that. But I can go across the street.
So what do you do?
I can go like 45 minutes down the road.
Tennessee.
Well, no, I'm closer to Oklahoma. So I can bet on college in Oklahoma. I can bet other things in Oklahoma. It just needs to be federally regulated. I mean, it's such a big industry that it makes no sense to just have this piecemeal
I agree with Britt.
situation.
Yeah, I agree with Britt as a person who is in a state where it's not regulated. You know, I'm offshore. That's how I just wager offshore. You know what I'm saying? But I wish I could do FanDuel and DraftKings.
I'll tell you what, yeah, it's like if people are gonna bet, they're gonna bet. Like when I live in Boston area where it's like just became legal, and not one of my friends said, "Oh wow, betting's legal now, so I'm gonna start betting." Like my buddies who bet did, and my buddies who bet didn't, right? And my theory on it is that honestly, it should be treated like alcohol. Like there are people that have problems with it, and if you have a problem, we should focus on helping those people, right? And people sometimes ask me, they're like, "How do you condone this type of thing?" Right? And the way I look at it is this: we come out here and we say, here's one bet that's kind of fun that you can make a little money on, but it's going to make it more interesting, right? Same thing with beers. If somebody comes out and they ask me, "Oh, recommend a beer for me," I'm going to say, "Oh, here's an IPA I like. You should try it." I'm not going to tell them to go out. Right? I'm not going to go out and drink. Here's Bud Light. I'm not going to come out and say, "Hey, here's what you should try. You should drink 60 Bud Lights," right? Like no one's telling you to go out and bet the family fortune, right? We're trying to have a little fun. We're trying to share a little information. So you got to treat it the same way. So that now I will get off my betting soapbox here, and we can get back to talking conspiracy theories.
I used to drive over that bridge, you know what I'm saying? But when I lived in New York, that was how I did it, you know what I mean? And then they changed the rules on me, but I'm good now. And I don't think, Britt, anytime you want to have a wagering competition, fantasy executive is game.
Have you guys been keeping track?
Because I invited you yesterday to a betting competition, Britt, a handicapping competition.
And
you know what I'm saying?
I didn't turn it down.
Oh, we're doing that. We're doing the NFL season-long handicap competition. I'm in on it too. I want in.
I told you I ain't never
There you
scared.
go. All right.
Britt, Bone Crusher
Flynn.
Flynn. I ain't never scared. What?
Never. I got the bump in the trunk, baby.
There you go.
Oh.
Well,
So
that
Sellers.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Yankees. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Let's go Yanks.
Super fun.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat, no doubt. For real.
That was today's edition of A Better Morning. Thank you to Corey, Britt, and Coop. Make sure you check out the Real-Time Fantasy Sports Show at 12 p.m. Eastern with Jeff Power and Logan Glazer. And if you missed any of our shows, you can find them all on our YouTube channel and at bettersports.com. We wish everyone a better week.